Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays. It is the week of June 5th, 2023. Congratulations on making another week through life. Always got to remember to pat yourself on the back, even for the small wins. Even for the small ones. There are no small wins. More and more, I find it difficult to take myself seriously doing something like this. My whole goal in doing this podcast was to do it like a normal person and not try to sound like, I don't know, I scroll through social media and I see 1,000 different people who I have no idea who they are, what their accomplishments are. Doesn't really matter. Giving wisdom or passing on knowledge or giving advice. And I also see all the people being like, who the fuck is this person? Like, who are they to tell us or who are they to give advice? What have they done with their lives type of thing? And I don't want this to be that ever. I want to be like a norm. My whole point of doing this was to be like, this is the perspective of a normal dude dealing with mental health. On top of it being like a companion to my music and stuff, to like just update people who might be interested on what I'm doing in my life. But like, I never wanted it to be some preachy, like, I don't know. Sometimes some of those people can come across like they know better than other people, and it gets a little much. Again, I'm down with like trying to do all the things you can to make yourself feel the best, to feel like you're operating at the highest level you can in your mind, body, spirit, all that stuff. I'm interested in those topics, but sometimes it does come across a little bit like, all right, we get it. And I don't want that to ever be what this is like. I think maybe that's why I skipped a week. I was feeling a little discouraged. Maybe discouraged isn't the word. I was feeling unmotivated or uninspired to come and talk to myself again about whatever it is. And sometimes I do find it hard to think of things to talk about. And it makes me feel, I don't know. All right, this is a twofold conversation. One of the things is like, for a long period of time, not like pandemic shit where we all were locked in the house and felt isolated. After the pandemic, after moving into this new apartment, I felt kind of isolated or like bored. Not bored. I'm never bored. Honestly, it takes a lot for me to be bored. I'll find something to do or I'll just stare at the wall and think. I could do that all day, honestly. But anyways, I guess more like my life was changing in a way that I didn't necessarily expect it to, or I didn't know what was next. Doing music solo now, diving in head first, like full on in my relationship and moving to a new location. Kind of like my whole friend group got realigned and things, just because that's what happens when you become an adult and life moves on and things change, people change, situations change, not necessarily in a negative way, just like in a realistic way. That's just what it is. So all these things were happening kind of all at once, and on top of that, moving is expensive, even if it's just across town. And not having like financial security enough to like go out in the world and do things that I enjoy or that my partner enjoys, that kind of started to weigh on me a lot. Not from the point of view of like, I wish I had money, but from the point of view of like, damn, we're not doing much. And on top of that, my career being like slow for a while because of the new start of being a solo artist and all that stuff, I felt very isolated. Like it was just me in this room and nothing was going the way I wanted to and stuff. So I guess I had that to talk about. I had that aspect of my mental health or what was happening to my mental health because of that to discuss. But then that gets played out after a while, and I kind of became comfortable, or at least adjusted myself mentally to that situation. And then I ran out of things to talk about again. But now my life has been picking up. Things have been picking up. And I know I've talked about that a little bit the last couple episodes, but like, I don't know. So this is what I was talking about. Here I am fucking stuttering and shit. 2 reasons why I felt discouraged or unmotivated last week. One was, I don't want to keep saying the same thing. And 2 was, I don't want to sound like those other people because it's maybe it's the hater in me. I do have a little bit of hater in me, even though I don't know. It depends. I try to catch myself. I think I'm self-aware enough to know, like, okay, you're hating right now. You're allowed to have opinions and dislike things, but there's a difference between having an opinion and disliking something and being a hater. And I never want to be a hater because that only comes from self-consciousness and like not being secure within yourself or jealousy or envy. That's what being a hater is. Let people succeed the way they're going to succeed in their life. It has nothing to do with you. It's really irrelevant to your own path and your journey. It becomes relevant when you start hating on it and it takes over a part of your psyche and you let those feelings of like if you're hating on someone for succeeding in something that you're not even in that war, it's ridiculous. One of those things for a long time, and I know I'm all over the place right now, but who cares? One of those things for a long time for me was like the TikTok and YouTube famous people. Like many people, I never really understood it. Now, as I've gotten into that world a little bit, by default, it's funny because I don't want to like be an influencer or anything, but it's like if you're making content and you're trying to gain an audience or a following, you're pretty much trying to be an influencer. I just don't like that word because I'm more than that. I'm an artist and I want to make real art. Yeah, but by delving into that world a little more, realizing that it's not as easy as it seems as just like uploading videos and getting money, getting paid for what you would think is nothing. I've gained a lot more respect for those people, and also just I've started to care less. Like, why would I care if they're succeeding and making tons of money and like living their life and having a good time? Like, why would I dislike that for anyone? Now, there are some people who are abhorrent people, and I don't root against them actively, but it always stings a little when you see someone who's known to not be the greatest person succeed. But that's just life. There's certain things in life that suck, and there's just no changing them. There are certain things in life that suck, and you could do something about it. If it's in your own life, it's in your career, your goals, your relationships, you have the power to control and change certain things. But then there's certain things of just like the way things work. There's a friend of mine who has a really hard time accepting this. There's some things that's just how it works. And I don't mean to sound like defeated or like it's okay to stand idly by while there are injustices in the world. That's not what I mean. But there are just certain things that are just true and have been true forever and will always be true. At least that's my opinion. And one of those things is that bad people are going to succeed sometimes. It's okay. I mean, it is what it is. It's not even okay. It just is. So I've done my best to curb all of those thoughts that I used to have much more often of like, when you're someone who like feels you're talented and feels like, this is again a twofold thing. When you feel you're talented and you look at someone and see maybe it's very possible you have more quote unquote talent than that person, but they are more successful than you are, it is very easy to fall into that envious, jealous point of view. But also, it's a complete reflection of yourself thinking you're entitled to some sort of success because you possess a little bit of talent. That's not how it works. That's never how it has worked. In any field, in any art form, in any career path, talent does not always win out. Talent is very important. Talent does come naturally to some people. Talent can be gained through hard work, but without hard work, your talent will not lead to any of the things you want it to. So hating on someone that has maybe what you think is less talent than you but is more successful, it's just a waste of your time. Just work harder. So, I think I started all of this to say I'm not trying to hate on other people who are talking about similar things that I am, but it's hard for me. It's like sometimes I see the way they go about it and I'm like, fuck, I wonder if that's what people think about me when they see my shit. Because there are times when I watch other people's videos and I'm like, well, who are you to tell me? I have made it known in the long form podcast many times, like, I'm not trying to give you advice. I'm just trying to show my perspective because I think I have a unique perspective in my experiences in life, but it's also a shared one because we all go through crazy shit. And I just feel like I try my best to be down to earth and honest. And I'm not saying any of those people aren't down to earth or aren't honest, but it's like people turn on that podcasting voice, people turn on that newscaster voice, and I can't stand it. That's my hope. That's why I want to do this the way I want to do it. Now, granted, maybe that's why this podcast isn't bigger yet, among other reasons, among me not putting enough time into it, the other side of things, other than just creating this and editing it, because it takes so long and it frustrates me, and then I don't feel like doing anything else about it because I just want to make music and blah, 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 blah. But anyways, it drives me nuts. Like, again, I've brought him up before. The reason why Rogan is so successful, in my opinion, in his podcast specifically, is because he does come at it from like an interesting perspective, but a very down-to-earth, neutral, let's talk about this type of thing. There are other clips that I see, specifically in like the mental health space, the health space, entrepreneurship, where it comes across very technical and clinical, and I never want this to be that. It's obviously sometimes I slip into that a little, probably by default, just because like when you're doing this and talking to yourself, like I don't know, you try to spice it up a little bit, I guess. I don't fucking know. But generally speaking, I don't ever want this to be that. And it's not that I feel like I have been guilty of doing that a lot, but seeing other people do that and me being like, maybe I don't know. I just had a little week of thinking. And it also fell in line, ironically, I had a week off of work last week. I could have done so much more with it. But I honestly took the time. At first, I was struggling again. I've talked about this many times, feeling guilty about not using every second of every day to do what I need to do. And maybe feeling almost like I just always fear of falling into that, like that feeling of complacency where I'm not pushing myself enough. But this week, like after a day or two of not doing anything, I was like, you know what? It's not like I was like, all right, I'm going to spend the next 4 days also not doing anything. I just think it just was like, all right, I have the day off again. Let me take my time going to the gym and making my breakfast, and like kind of like a self-love thing. Again, don't want to be cheesy. Nothing's cheesy. Whatever. These are the voices in my head. I'm just letting them all out. Not in a. I didn't like consciously think about it, but it was nice to just recharge. I know I've talked about multiple times on here too. Like, I haven't played video games in so long. I played a little video games this week, and it was fun. It was good to just fucking chill for a second. The show, my show is still a couple weeks out, and I'm not trying, I can't procrastinate any longer. I have to start really rehearsing and putting the set together and all that. I've been working on this one song for a minute now that it's so weird. It's like some songs start with lyrics. Like, I write the lyrics before I have recorded a single note of any instrument. And then other songs start with a full song, and I cannot think of fucking words for it. So I'm working on this song that I really love. I don't even know what it's about yet. But I'm saying this all to say, like, I have a couple things that I'm working on, this and that, but I took a few days to just step away and not do any of it. And I think sometimes I have to remind myself that, like, that not only is that okay, but you need to do that sometimes. You can't keep banging your head against something expecting it to just appear. Sometimes you have to step back, look at it from a different angle, and like I said, live life a little. For a long time, I felt like isolated, quote unquote bored. I don't really know how, that's a bad word for it, but I can't think of a better word. For lack of a better word, that's the phrase. And I've heard other creative people talk about this, like, if you're not out living life, now it doesn't mean you got to go out every night, jumping up and down till 3 o'clock in the fucking morning and like drinking, or like, it doesn't mean like that. But if you're not going out and experiencing life, literally like going to the store every day or going to work, different things, just interacting with people, seeing people watching, earth watching, like just being outside, not isolated, it's hard to come up with anything. You need to draw from life experience. And luckily, lately I've had a little more life experience. I've had more things to go out in the world and do. One of them being, so before I get into anything else, just I'm grateful for that, and also grateful that I had the chance this past week to kind of reset, recharge a little, and now, put this set together for the show, hopefully finish the song before then, because I'd really like to perform it there. I think it would be perfect. Just keep grinding away. I feel at a pretty good place with everything, and all right, that is what it is. I feel good about all that stuff. It was good to take a break. Now we're back at it, full speed again, and that's great. I played an art show. Shout out to Zach Frank, my good friend. He is who Scary and I moved out here with initially. And it's funny to look back on it now because we didn't even see our apartment before we moved in. We just signed a lease from across the country and drove here in a moving truck. It was fucking unreal. Great experience looking back. It's funny. I always think about that, like, things that absolutely suck in the moment end up being the best stories. You laugh about it. You think back on it and like, actually, it was kind of great. The drive across the country in a moving truck was one of those things. But yeah, he's a good friend of mine. It was good to work with him again in some facet because we used to work with him a lot. That's why we moved out together. And then just in a positive way, both of our lives went in a different direction, kind of. And so it was good to be around him. I really respect him he's the best networker I've ever met. And again, I know this is all about mental health. I'll get there. But just, letting my thoughts come out as they come. I've always complimented him on that, or maybe not even to his face, but anytime I talk with other people about him, he's the best networker I've ever met. He just knows how to speak to people in that way, not in a like, what can I gain from you way, but in a friendly, let's not let this relationship die out type of way. And it's something that I try to absorb from him as much as possible. We have very different personalities. And so his personality lends itself perfectly to that kind of need when you're pursuing a career such as art or music or whatever it might be. But he's great at that. Anyways, he's also a very talented artist. He had this collaboration series with another very talented artist. Both of them, they said at the art show, like combined have over 10 billion views on their artwork, through TikTok, because they're both really successful on TikTok. So it was cool to just be a part of it. I don't need to go into everything. I'm not going to do a whole thing on the art show, but I performed there because Zach's method of art, well, one of his methods of art, which he was using for this collection, is he does the dabs of paint, like he literally uses a squeeze bottle, like a ketchup bottle almost, old school one, and puts globs of paint. I don't want to say globs. That's probably he probably wouldn't like that. Dabs of paint, like little spikes on a canvas in different shapes, different sizes, different colors, all this stuff, and it comes out incredible. And it's a very long, arduous process, very technical, very he keeps count of every dab and stuff. And for him, it's like a meditation. And his other homie, Cole, his process is very quick. He paints with a can of paint and swings it from a pendulum, and it creates different shapes as it goes back and forth across the canvas. So the collaboration is like a very long form of art with a very quick form of art. And they wanted me to play the saxophone while they did a live painting at this art show. It's a lot of people there. Really cool. Shout out to everyone that was there. Congratulations to them. They were very successful in the art show, sold some pieces. That's all you could ask for when you're an artist. So congratulations to both of them. But for me, this is the mental health part. I finally got to it after 20 minutes. For me, this experience. So I was really nervous at my first show back a couple weeks ago, or a couple months ago now. Jesus. And it was to be expected. I've been on stage my whole life, and I don't know. When I was younger, this is the tough thing. I always say this, but before 2012, I never had anxiety, ever. Like, and I was not an abnormally anxious person, outside of the situations where we all feel anxious in the moment. I did not have chronic anxiety or depression. Outside of my losing my father and like going through some difficult things in my childhood and my adolescence, my teenage years, like I wouldn't consider that. I don't know. To me, it's not the same as what I deal with now, because though I don't want to say there's no reason for it now. Obviously, past trauma and just my brain having wires crossed now for some reason or something. I don't mean to say there's no reason for it, but to me, the way I look at my timeline of dealing with these things, it was like, oh, your dad died when you were 15. Obviously, very sad. Obviously, you're going to be depressed about it. Your mom has alcoholism and it's very difficult on the family. Like, obviously, you're going to be sad and depressed about that stuff when you're that young too. But the feelings of like constant panic or anxiety or depersonalization didn't start till 2012. So pre-2012, still having been on stage like every year, multiple times a year since 4th grade up to 2012, I never got nervous, like other than like fun, anxious energy. Like ooh, it's almost here, just looking forward to it. And then when Scary and I started performing as BEC in then April 94, I was anxious before every show, but after a couple drinks and like after getting on stage, it was just like, oh, this is natural. This is me. This is the best. I love this. It was kind of like still riding that nervous energy, that adrenaline, and like it transforms into, oh my God, I might fall on my face and fail, to like, oh my God, this is everything I want in life. And like that feeling of it transitioning from the negative to the positive is like a drug. And that's why everyone everyone who loves performing is, I would imagine, partially because of that feeling. But having taken so many years off from performing, I was super nervous at the first show back for various reasons. My first time performing alone, my first time performing this music, my first time performing all these different instruments all at once. And also I'm not on medication anymore. I deal with my anxiety in different ways, just all these things. And I did what I would normally do years previous, and that's drink a little bit before the show. I'm not suggesting this, especially I do want to be careful about that. Like, I'm not suggesting substance abuse or, using a crutch to overcome your anxiety or stage fright. But it's not, I'm not drinking to a dangerous level. I'm not some fucking crazy rock star partying all the time or anything like that. So I enjoy having a few adult beverages before going on stage, and then having a couple on stage, whatever. It's fun. It should be a celebration. It's okay to have fun if you're responsible. We don't have to shit on it completely. It's okay. See, I started almost slipping into that clinical, like, well, I don't want to be careful. It's okay to drink sometimes if you can handle yourself. Other than the health reasons, it's bad for you. I don't know. See, I can't help myself. I just want everyone to be okay and happy and healthy, and stop saying So typically that would be my methodology of overcoming that little bit of stage fright, would be having a couple drinks beforehand, loosen the lips a little. It helps. This is the problem for artists that tour constantly, is most of them do drink before they go on stage. A lot of them, unless they're completely sober. And then that turns into a 3-month bender. That's tough. But anyways, none of that. Usually that's my method. Usually it works. That's what I'm trying to get at. Usually it helps. And it didn't really help me overcome the nerves at that last show, which was like, I don't want to say a rude awakening. But it was like, I could feel while being on stage. I remember a couple times being like, I've had a couple beers, like 3 or 4. I'm definitely feeling a little buzz. Usually by this time in any situation, those nerves, or like the feelings of anxiety, social anxiety, kind of slip away for me. And again, not in a, I don't suggest or recommend this for anyone, but for me, over my adult life so far, I've always felt like if I get in the right pocket after a couple drinks, like that's my favorite version of my personality. Again, if a therapist or something listened to this, a drug counselor, they'd be like, whoa, that's not good. I understand. I'm not saying that I feel most comfortable when I'm obliterated drunk. I'm saying, like many people, if you're in a social setting where people are imbibing in alcohol and it's, again, a responsible enough environment, a lot of people feel more comfortable after a couple beverages. So I am in that category. But it didn't necessarily take over like it usually would when I was on stage. And I don't know if that, again, I don't know if that worried me, but I was like, I had a thought while performing, like, I'm surprised. Usually I would just, at this point, the nerves would be gone. Took a minute. Finally, they were gone. Fast forward to the art show. Totally different thing. It's not about me at all. It's about these two awesome painters, artists. And still leading up to it, I was really nervous, but like for different reasons. Nervous for the first show, like I said, haven't performed in a while, blah, 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 all eyes on me type of thing. This one, it's not that. I think I was more nervous because I had no control. I'm like, okay, I don't even know the environment. I don't know the acoustic. Like all these things that I forced into my head, forced into my thought process going into it, which were all pretty much ridiculous. And the thing is, I know that, but it's still hard to quiet those voices. And so on my way there, I was nervous. Got there. Again, my method, having a couple drinks, just didn't really work. And as I walked out, I went in the back in the alleyway to warm up. And then as we came back out, I started to feel a little less nervous. And once I started playing, I was like, okay, this is fine. I sound good. That's another thing. It's just certain things. Again, this is so different because it was basically just background noise for the art show for a small period of time where no one was talking. And it was actually really nice. And again, many people came up to me after and were like, really enjoyed it, all that. As I knew people would, as I always know, it's going to be fine. But it doesn't help the nerves beforehand. And I guess the reason why I'm giving this lengthy fucking explanation to all of this is that I enjoy riding that wave of nervousness into, I did it and this feels great. But when it doesn't come until way after, it kind of robs you of the actual experience of performing and creating art. Like, I look back on that and I'm like, dude, this is a good friend of yours who's a really talented artist having an art show. And like sometimes I have to remind myself that where I came from. And I'm not saying that I grew up in the projects or anything like that, but like lower middle class family from a town no one's ever heard of up to another town no one's ever heard of, single mother, dad died, not to boost myself or make my story sound crazier than it is, but like plenty of things have happened in my life that could have set me on a different course and never chased my dreams, all these things. It's like, this is something that if I told myself 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or little high school me who still had those dreams and aspirations to be a musician in any way possible, I would have been like, I'm playing an art show in Los Angeles, California for 100 people and like a cool environment, cool vibes, like a dope setup. And for like two artists who are like popping on, I don't know. I would have been like, that's amazing. And sometimes in the moment, I forget those things. So it's like I'm robbing myself of the pleasure of the experience of the thing that I'm supposedly telling myself I love most in the world. And I'm really glad that in a couple weeks I have another show because I feel like I need to redeem myself. Not redeem myself for anyone else. I did fine. I know that I'm talented. I know I trust my talent. I was fine. It sounded really good. At first, I couldn't watch a video of it, and I can critique myself on certain things. I'm still very stiff. I was still very stiff. I need the oil from the fucking Wizard of Oz. I'm the Tin Man like this playing the sax. Ridiculous. It doesn't need to be like that. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's okay to be critical of yourself and not hate, as long as you don't hate yourself for it. It's okay. I can always be better. I want to improve. I want to be critical of myself. That's okay. I'm secure. But I don't want to ever, ever, ever rob myself of having fun doing what I love because I'm so worried about how it's going to go while it's happening. Towards the end of the first show that I did a couple months ago, I finally got out of my head and was just in the pocket and having fun performing. And it was great. It was the feeling that I long for. It's the feeling that I love. It's the feeling that like keeps me wanting to do this and continue to grow and grow and grow. But at the art show, again, it was 0% about me. And that's okay. I wanted to shrink into a corner most of the time while I was there. But I'm just saying, for me, from my perspective, from my life, for my book that I'm writing, I was way too nervous again. And like, I didn't allow myself to enjoy it in the moment. Again, now I can sit here and look back at it and explain it to you and be like, this is why it was really cool and why it was really awesome. But in the moment, I had none of that in my head. It was just purely like, don't fuck up. Just keep playing. And I don't know if that's maybe not trusting myself enough. I think there's probably it's a multi-layered thing. Not trusting myself enough to let loose a little and not worry about making a mistake. First of all, I admire so many incredible musicians that have come before me. I absorb as much music from them, but also as many interviews and documentaries about them that I can find as much as possible. I love that stuff. And one of my biggest heroes musically is Miles Davis. And he famously has said, there's no such thing as a wrong note, or a wrong note is only one note away from being a right note. And like, I believe that. I embrace that mentality, especially as someone who leans towards being a jazz musician. And yet still in the moment, I was worried about fucking up something that is unfuck-upable. Again, to explain, I'm just playing along to the pendulum swinging, kind of like slowly matching the tempo almost. I could have done anything, and anyone there would have been like, that was a cool part of that thing we went to. No one would have been like, did you hear that saxophone play a G sharp on accident? Yet in my head, I'm like, don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up. So maybe that's me just not trusting my talent enough to let it take over. I know earlier I was talking about how being talented does not mean you will be successful, and you do have to work hard at things. Maybe I feel subconsciously that I'm not working hard enough, or that I didn't prepare enough for this, which I didn't really, because I didn't need to, quite frankly. It wasn't anything crazy. It's something I could do with my eyes closed in my sleep. But maybe subconsciously not feeling super, super comfortable yet performing, not feeling super, super prepared, not trusting my talent, or being too self-critical of myself rather than just self-critical enough to improve all the time. Maybe that's what made me feel like all I can do is focus on not fucking up instead of like losing myself in the moment, looking around the room a little while I play, moving a little. The video, I'm literally just standing there, and then you can finally start to see me bob and weave because I can't help it while I play sometimes. It's like it's like not a nervous tick, but like it's just, Stevie Wonder has this thing. Sometimes, yeah, maybe he's trying to be performative, but honestly, it's just a natural thing that comes out when you're a musician sometimes. Other than that, I was stiff as a fucking board again. And again, I'm not hating on myself. I'm just being self-critical and honest. So maybe it's a combination of all those things, and I feel like I owe it to myself, I owe it to life, I owe it to Mother Earth, the universe, to not rob myself of having fun in the most fun environment for me possible the next time I have the opportunity. So for this show on June 24th, it's like, will I be nervous beforehand? Yes, that's okay. I think literally, like, you ask the most elite athletes if they're nervous before a game. All of them are. Even like a baseball player. Haven't even gotten to that. I forgot what I wanted to talk about today. Here I am looking like I'm suiting up for the fucking team. Even a baseball player who plays, they have a 162 game season. I'm sorry to always compare things to baseball. It's my first love. They play fucking half the year, damn near. And I can't do math, so is that half the year? How many days would be half the year? 365. So 350 minus, I don't fucking know. They play so many games a year and many days in a row, and still there could be, huge crowd, small crowd. Obviously, there's varying levels to nerves and things like that, and reasons why we feel nervous as human beings. But the best, most elite athletes, the most elite musicians, the most elite artists all feel nerves before a performance, before a game, before competition, whatever it might be. That's okay. I know I'm going to be nervous again, but I can't let it override living in the moment and experiencing this thing. It's like another great quote I heard from a musician, and I know that this is very personal to me, so I apologize. Trying to, I feel like this can be applied to any situation anyone's going through in life. I'm just coming at it from my frame of mind. Because it all relates back to anxiety and depression as well. It's like we constantly rob ourselves of feeling happy in moments that we have no reason to not feel happy. We force these intrusive negative thoughts in. We spotlight ourselves like everyone's paying attention to us when no one is. And how many times, I don't know, for me at least, how many times I've let that ruin a good time, it sucks. So June 24th, yes, I'll be nervous. But it's almost, it's like it's a waste of a day of my life. It's a waste of a great moment of life if I let it rob me of having fun. So I'm trying my best to remember how it felt to feel that nervousness, that nervous energy, and ride it into the best adrenaline rush you could ever ask for. The most natural, most amazing natural high you could ever ask for. Because from the last two performances, it wasn't that as much as I would have liked it to be. It was more, let's get through this. Not like I was rushing or anything like that, still wanting to be the best I could be and still happy overall with the actual performance, the actual sound, all those things. Again, areas I can improve. But I do feel that both my last performances, it was just get out of here alive. And that's whack. Just surviving is not living. I want to live, man. And I got to let myself live. Let me live. Let yourself live, dude. So I'm sure that being conscious of it, I'm glad because it went well, and I didn't half-ass it, or I didn't say all right, I want to get out of here. I did my absolute best in that moment, and just the nerves from my own experience of it, my own perception of it, what I could have gotten from the experience were hindered by my nervousness. I don't think that it actually really affected the performance for what it was supposed to be. So I'm glad that I had that in between my last show and my next show, because it was a safe place to feel those nerves and it not really matter so much, so that I can again remind myself all right, don't do that to yourself again. So I'm going to do my best not to. And I'm really excited. How many times do I say that shit? I'm really excited to perform next week, or not next week, June 24th, which is not that far away. It's going to be fucking great. I know it will be. I know it'll be better than the last two shows. I know all these things. I just don't want to, and I don't want to be dead horse is what I don't want to do. But for the last time, I don't want to rob myself of enjoying what I enjoy most in life. It just seems so silly and ridiculous to me. I know I don't want that. I know I just want to, I know this is what I love. I know I'm not the only one too. I think I don't remember who it was. I forget her name. I want to say Summer Walker, but I just saw her have some grand tour performance, so I don't think it was her. Someone like that, in that world, in that vein of music, a couple years ago, won Best New Artist, and then on stage announced I'm retiring. I can't tour, I can't perform anymore. It's just too much anxiety. It's too much for me. It's not fun. So it's I know that other artists deal with this stuff, but I've never had quote unquote stage fright before. And any of that pre-show jitters, the pre-show anxiety has typically just resulted in like, wow, that was fun. Like a roller coaster. Like, there's a sense of danger to it. Like you're waiting for that drop, and the anticipation builds and the anxiety builds. And once you drop, that feeling of, wow, this is fucking crazy. And then once it's the same type of thing. It's a very easy metaphor to draw. But, all right, it would be a simile, actually, because I said it's like a roller coaster. But, and it can be hard for people to handle, but I don't know. I feel like I've talked about it enough. It's just something I thought about a lot afterwards. Because after the performance was done, it was fun. It was fun. Like, I just chilled and had a couple beverages like a gentleman and looked at cool art, talked with some people I haven't seen in a while, and then fucking went home. But in the moment, I think I could have enjoyed it a lot more. And also, again, it's just a reminder that, like, okay, yeah, maybe it used to work for me to have a couple drinks beforehand to kind of loosen up a little and kill the nerves, but that's not enough now. I have to, it's a mental change. It's a mental shift I have to make. But enough of that. Also come out to the show. Imagine I'm just like, I'm nervous and I want to die the whole time up there, but you should come watch it. No, it's going to be great. I know that for sure. And the more I look into all these other Sofar Sounds shows, they're fucking sick. I'm super excited. A bunch of people have hit me up. I have a homie that lives in Miami. I have a homie that lives in Miami. I have a homie that lives in New York, and they both went to one there. And both of them are like, dude, it's sick. This is going to be perfect. So I'm excited. But here we go again. More baseball. I just want to say, go Yankees, first of all. Second of all, they're in town. How could I not go? How could we not go, being a house full of fucking Yankee fans? And real ones, not obnoxious idiots that know nothing about what they're talking about. With all of this said about not letting myself enjoy something enough, the tickets for this game were not cheap, and we don't have great tickets, but it's something that we both enjoy, we meaning my girlfriend and I, so much. And it's like, dude, in the last 2 months, if I look at it objectively and not just, hey, Frank, you hold yourself to a high standard. You want everything you can get out of life. And if it's not happening, you're not happy. Taking that out of it and just looking at it objectively, I've done some really cool things. And I've worked really hard. And I'm proud of myself, not just in music and stuff, but like, I'm proud of myself for like the man I'm becoming. I don't know. Positivity is good. I don't want to say, I keep saying like not to be conceited, but it's like, no, fuck no. I'm happy for myself. God forbid. When I look back at these past couple months objectively, I'm happy with the progress I've made in pretty much every aspect of my life. And as I've said many times, as you start to get older, certain habits or certain hobbies, I should say, not habits, start to die out. It just, you lose time. You lose time. And you got to kind of pick and choose the ones that you want to keep around. You can't keep them all, unfortunately. I once heard this quote that said, a hobby is the job that God gave you. It's pretty nice if you think about it. Like, this is not even something, certain hobbies are things that you don't even choose. It's just, this is who you are. You love this thing. But with that said, the one that has not and will not ever die out is my love for baseball and my love for the Yankees. And I know it sounds silly and arbitrary because it is, and it doesn't really matter, but doesn't it kind of matter? Again, I don't want to just survive. I want to live. And part of me living is doing things that I enjoy, even if it means sacrificing some things here or there that might be quote unquote more important, like paying rent. No, I'm kidding. I just thought like, this is why I'm wearing a fucking baseball jersey and baseball hat. It's not Halloween or something. We're going to the game after I record this, which I'm very excited for. But I just wanted to like say it's important to still make sure you do the things that you enjoy. and like adjust whatever you have to make sure you can. I'm not saying be financially irresponsible or like fuck up actual things that are very important in life to go do something you love or want to do versus what you need to do. But it's important if you can make that sacrifice or can make it happen, that you do things you love and enjoy just for the sake of doing something you love and enjoy. So this is like the grand finale of, like I said, I had the week off, kind of took some time to still be productive, but like just sit for a second, because I've been nonstop the last couple months, which I enjoy that too, but you need to sharpen the saw. You need to just relax sometimes. So it's been great. And then this is, then I had the art show on Friday night, played that. And now it's Sunday, and it's like, all right, end of the week, or technically beginning, but no one actually looks at weeks that way, do they? It's like, okay, got to go back to work tomorrow, catch the Yankees while they're in town, enjoy a nice, beautiful day at the ballpark. Hope you don't get harassed by drunk Dodger fans, it's very unlikely that doesn't happen. That's a really sad thing. I need a sip of water. Excuse me. Oh, would you look at that? It's a really sad thing, in my opinion, the antics of people at a stadium. There's a whole litany of issues that I could get into of what causes that shit. I don't know which one or which 5 of those issues are what actually cause it. But to me, it sucks because it's like, all right, New York fans have a reputation of being crazy. I've gone to every New York sporting event you can. I'm not saying that they're not rowdy. They cheer loud for their teams. They talk shit to other fans for sure. But typically, from my experience, and obviously I am a little biased, the actual experience of going to a New York game and being an opposing fan, it's fun. It's like there's a fun banter to it. And I've had experiences like that at Dodger games too. The Yankees and Dodgers basically never play. So not many, but I went a couple years ago when they were in town. And if there was any trash, it's fun. It's delightful, or it's playful. Jesus, dude, it's playful and light, and that's fun. That's like part of rooting for a sports team. It's cool to talk trash back and forth. It is what it is. And then afterwards, it's like, oh, none of this matters. These players don't really care about us at all. Let's go home. It's okay. But then, I mean, I can't help myself. I'll wear a Yankee hat to a Dodgers game when the Yankees aren't there. It's just, I know my brother hates that shit. He thinks it's dumb. I don't. It's a baseball hat. It's my favorite team. I'm at a baseball game because I enjoy it. Why can't I wear my favorite team's thing? I'm not wearing a whole fucking thing. That's a little much. But anyways, I've been at games where I'm wearing a Yankees hat and I'm getting harassed by drunk Dodger quote-unquote fans who, like, it's like if you were a real fan, you'd understand that I'm not, one, I haven't made a peep all game. I'm literally just watching. 2, these two teams have not had anything to do with each other since the 70s and barely have played since then. And it's just, there are certain evil people in this world that go to something, specifically in my experience, like a Dodgers game, just to get drunk and cause problems. And it fucking sucks. There was a time where we had an altercation. All right, I'm going to put it bluntly. You're a fucking loser if you do that shit. You're a loser. You're a loser. What are you doing? And it's not like it's like some 18-year-old kid that like snuck a couple beers and is too drunk. It's like grown-ass people getting fucked up, going to a Dodgers game to try to fight someone and like not really caring about the game. I promise you, I know more Dodgers history than these people. I know more about the sport than any of these people that are doing this shit. Like, I would go as far as saying, like, yes, maybe there are two diehard, like, there are obviously situations where there are diehard fans from opposing fan bases that love their team so unhealthily and so much that is what causes, that mixed with alcohol is what causes a physical altercation. But usually it's just drunk bullshit. And it has nothing to do with the game. It has nothing to do with the teams. It's just obnoxious and stupid. But my point being, it shouldn't feel unsafe to go to a fucking baseball game. It sucks. It's whack. And like the last time Jay and I went to a game, this guy was screaming, fuck me. I can't remember. I think they might have been playing the Mets, and we took Casey for his birthday or something like that. This was like last year. And so, he's wearing Mets stuff, but Casey, just normal cheering, not crazy. If you know Casey, one of my best friends in the world, he's like, he's basically a hippie. Sorry, Case, love you. But like, to boil, if I was just to stereotype him unfairly, that's what I would say. Like, he's just very carefree, happy, kind. He's just the sweetest. Now, he can talk shit, but that's not his intention going there. He's a diehard baseball fan. So these people are yelling at us the whole game, giving us shit, and saying like, fuck New York, fuck the Yankees. They're not even there. Hello? They're not there. So finally, like, I wasn't going to... Listen, I'm not combative. I don't like conflict. I've admitted on this podcast before, if it's fight or flight, typically for me it's flight unless I have to do the other one. I just think it's dumb. I think I'm too mature and evolved of a person to get into a physical altercation over something that is not life and death. It's ridiculous. So I was just going to turn around to just be me, which I have to remember a lot of times that people don't know who you are. You know what I mean? Like, people can't necessarily just give you the benefit of the doubt because they know who you are. They know how you are. They don't. So, okay, whatever. I just turned around to the people yelling at us, and all I was trying to say was, why? Literally, all I was trying to say was, why? We're not doing anything to you. You're not even playing my team. Like, I guess I learned my lesson to not wear fucking team paraphernalia to a game they're not in, because this could happen, but it shouldn't fucking happen. All I was going to say was why, and immediately it got like aggressive and violent. Like, fuck you. Excuse my language. I'm going to say some really bad words coming up. Fuck you, bitch. And obviously, my girlfriend is Dominican by way of Queens, New York. She don't play that shit. And she's not going to just sit there and get berated. She turned around and was like, what? You guys are ridiculous. You know what I mean? And then this grown man, 50 years old at least, in his 40s, 50s, two grown men and one grown woman, all in their 40s, 50s, screaming at us, calling Jay a dirty bitch. All this shit, fuck you, bitch. I'll beat your ass, little bitch. That should be the clip. It'll never get any views on Instagram, but that'd be hilarious out of context. A grown 40, 50-year-old man saying this to, if you don't know my girlfriend or have never seen a picture of her, this tiny little adorable human being. Our teams weren't even playing each other. And the reason why I went off on this little tangent or told this story is because, to me, this is a mental health thing. That person's not all there. I'm sorry. Whether it be a substance abuse issue, a drug problem, a gang problem, mental health issues, not feeling secure in themselves, thinking that as a 40 or 50-year-old adult male yelling at a tiny 20-year-old female that you're going to beat her up when she literally didn't say anything to you. It's sad to me. It's sad. And it sucks because, again, I started explaining this whole situation by saying, make sure you do things you enjoy in life. It's worth whatever it takes within reason. But go out and do the things you love, things that make you happy. And I love baseball. I love the Yankees. We love the Yankees. Again, beating a dead horse, but like this, I fucking love this. This is one of my favorite things in life as far as things that don't really matter, but that I enjoy. And it sucks that, like, going to this game, I have to be conscious of that. And I'm not putting it all on Dodgers fans. This happens at every stadium in America, but I've been there multiple times and I've seen it pretty much every time I've been there. And again, a friend of mine was just at a game. Nothing. Two teams that don't matter to each other walking back to his car with his lady, and Dodger fan was like, "Fuck you, fuck your team," like kind of funny at first, I guess. And so this person, it's Casey. I don't know why he doesn't. It was Casey. Turns around, and was like, "Yeah," like in a playful, nice Casey way, was like, "Yeah, you guys got us the first game. We got you tonight. Like just sports span, good job. See you next time," type thing. And the guy immediately was like, "Yeah, you want me to smack the shit out of you in front of your bitch?" Those are his words. Dude, what are you fucking doing? Come on. Can't even walk back to your fucking car and feel safe. That shit bums me out. I'm kind of upset that I even started thinking about all this right before we go to the game, but I felt a need to say that because I don't know the answer and I don't know why. There is a million reasons why, but it just stinks. And the fact that, like, I have to have a conversation with Jay before we go just to be like, hey, listen, remember last time? That was really awful. If anyone says anything, let's just not acknowledge it at all. That shouldn't be in my mind or my head. And you know what? Knock on wood. I've been there and had pleasant interactions with people. I have. When you go to a concert, a big concert or a big sporting event, your experience can really be enriched by having like good people around you that are fun, that are funny, where everyone's there to have a good time. And the opposite can also be true. If you're around a bunch of drunk idiots, listen, I'm not an innocent human being. I'm not like white bread fucking prude by any means. Go there, get as drunk as you want, as long as you can fucking behave yourself and not be a scumbag to other people. It just sucks. I swore a lot this podcast. Whatever. It doesn't really matter. So I just want to say, enjoy your life. Do things you love. Recharge when you need to. But also, what's good with all this shit? It's hard not to feel that way when, like, the videos of people, like, fighting on airplanes. What is going on? Can we all just take a deep breath, dude? Chill out. You're going to get wherever you're going. Oftentimes, that's drugs and alcohol as well. But it's disheartening. It sucks, you have good interactions with people and then you have negative interactions with people, and maybe like a Yelp review on life, the negative interactions with people just stick out more because they suck, and things that suck tend to stay in our minds longer, or I guess to just stay at the forefront of our minds. Maybe it's pretty even. If I was a philosopher or something, I'd probably say that it all balances out. I don't know if it does or doesn't. But word travels fast of the negative interactions, and when you're scrolling through social media or something and see some of the shit that's been going on, people, like I said, fighting on airplanes or at the fucking baggage claim, every stadium in America, it's just like, dude, can we all just take a deep breath? Whatever you're fighting about is not that serious. So without further ado, I need to get the fuck out of here. Go Yankees. Aaron Judge is a god amongst men. Thank you for listening again. It felt good to be back. There was a couple days where, in this week off that I took, that I was, I had certain anxiety or depression, just your normal run-of-the-mill everyday stuff that I have to deal with at times. And I realized at one point too that, like, regardless of whatever this podcast does for my career, it has, as I've said in the past, it really helps me. And not doing it for a week, I felt it. I felt it missing from my life. So thank you for listening if you listened or watched. It felt good to do it, sit down and do it again. And all that stupid shit I just talked about, how miserable of an experience it could be. I'm really excited to go to this game and have a beautiful day. It's cloudy out now. It's supposed to get real nice. Just do things you enjoy. Take a deep breath. It's all going to be all right, man. Don't be a nihilist and not take anything seriously and say nothing matters, but also a little bit of that's not bad. Most things really aren't as serious as we make them. Just take a deep breath. Enjoy your life. Keep pushing forward. Keep fighting the good fight. I got to remember I got this. You got to remember you got this. And if not, we got this. We got this together. I'll talk to you next week. I promise. And don't forget to get tickets to the show. Don't know what this pose is, but I'll see you soon. Thank you.